All right, and we are live. Let me grab the link and throw it wherever. Am I getting a phone call as soon as I go? Of course
You
I am.
would. You
It's
would.
my mother. All right, I gotta
Oh,
answer. Hold on.
no.
Okay, what's going on, guys? Sorry about the little delay there. I had some. That was my mother, of course. You know, she calls as soon as I end up doing something. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, guys. Hey, Chops, can you see the chat, by the way?
Chat?
Yeah, here, I'll send it to you because then you can view in the. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I want to see the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. All right, so sorry for the little delay on the intro, guys. You know, my mom calls, of course, at the worst possible times in the world, and of course, it has something to do extremely like family sensitive. So you know, I had to take it. Everything is good though, no worries. So what we're basically gonna go over today is what the fuck happened. What the fuck happened to the bracket and what we kind of think is going to happen. And this is obviously from two completely different point of views here, because we've got Chops, who's been playing free to play for how long? Ever? Yeah, for a long fucking time.
Mop? Yeah.
And then me, who's literally just started doing vet and stuff like that. You know, this expansion basically. So I've, you know, obviously played WoW for probably as long as Chops has, just not in the same ways. So we're gonna get like two different sort of you know, views on everything, and yeah, basically go from there. So Chops, I'll let you explain, because you are a lot better with words than I am, just in general. So what the fuck happened to the bracket recently, as if the people don't already know?
Right. Okay. So In case somebody doesn't know, if you turn your experience off, you are put in a separate PvP queue from people who don't turn their experience off. There's an effort to keep twinks out of leveler battlegrounds, right? For the longest time, well, I won't say the longest time, but for a couple of years now, um, for a couple of years now, free to play and vet twinks have been counted as not, or have been counted as XP on. So they've gotten leveler queues, and it's you punch the play PvP button, you get a queue in 5 minutes, right? As of Tuesday, vets and free to play accounts are now considered XP off, which means that they are only against other twinks, which means all of a sudden, level 29 twinks are going to get PvP queues because they're still XP off, but all of those free to plays out there, all those guys playing in South America that play for free, there's a huge scene down there. All the guys playing in Europe that play for free, the huge free to play scene in there. All the folks playing in NA like we do, the huge free to play scene here. We're now in XP off queues, which means all of a sudden 29 twinks can start queuing now because they have the population to pop their queues. There are no more levelers in twink queues, period.
Yep. See, like, and the fact that you're able to articulate everything so much better than I am, like, you see how I've explained it to people in Discord. I just go free to play plus free to play plus vets plus XP off. That is the bracket right now, and it never used to be that way at all. So that happened. Yeah, what is it? Tuesday, right? Fucking
Tuesday.
So, needless to say, things are shaking up a little bit. There's like 4 threads going on XP off, like alone, about the same thing. So, let alone that's happening. And there's also the thread over in the which is a terrible idea. You basically should never post Twinking stuff on Blizzard's forums, but people fucking do it, which is fine. And I find it so ironic, and I love Light for fucking doing it. I really do. But the fact right, just chef's fucking kiss about that. And but like, because everybody that isn't a twink or doesn't understand the way or the reasons that we play this, it's like it doesn't make any sense to them because it's not how they play, right? It's just like, it's basically like politics but of a video game for people. They just can't see the other side of anything. Well, it's kind of nice because I have played both sides of everything, and it's kind of how I see everything anyway. So
yeah, I haven't touched Endgame since Wrath, and not Wrath Classic, like Wrath. So I have no idea how Endgame players view twinks. I have not a clue.
Well, I mean, those responses on the forums are a pretty accurate response of how people see twinks, I think. Right. So basically, I mean, I guess we could start off with Chops. Why do you twink? Why do you play free to play level 20s and no other brackets, like nothing else? I know you used to play 39s heavily, right?
Yeah,
If that's okay.
I cut my twinking teeth in Wrath 39s.
Okay.
Was when I really got into twinking. But I play 20s because I really feel like the restrictions that they place on a 20 account, like, it makes the game so much more fun and inviting. And you think to yourself, like, oh God, I mean, I have to get gems, but I can't use the auction house, right? Like, oh God, that sounds miserable. But then when you actually start doing it, it's way more rewarding, right? Like, I think that a lot of people are kind of scared of that grind because they've had the convenience for so long, but then they miss like that sense of reward at the end and that sense of like accomplishment at the end when they finally got all that stuff done. Like, I guarantee if you haven't tried it, you should try it. You will like it. But that's why I do it. Is I enjoy this sort of to borrow a terminology from Diablo, the solo self-found play.
Iron
The
Man,
idea
right?
that like
Basically.
yeah, Iron Man play, and it makes the game uh, a bit more of a challenge. It feels more old school, right?
Yep.
Like, and I get that a lot. So that's why I play free to play, and I play vets because it lets me get that same PvP experience without having to do the free to play grind on more than one tune. My old 39 from Wrath is my vet warrior now, so that's been a nice sort of touchback to the old times. It's
Oh,
been
that's
pretty
cool.
good.
I didn't
Yeah.
actually know that that was your old 39.
Yeah, it's my old 39. That tune was made in vanilla, maybe
Wow, really?
early
That's fucking
TBC,
cool,
somewhere in
man.
there.
Yeah.
Like I think that's cool. There aren't many tunes that were made in vanilla that are still playing, much less twinks that
Right.
were made then. So I think it's cool. It's nice. It's fun.
Yeah, that's I have what is it? I don't have I think I might have an orc warrior floating around somewhere that was either BC or original, if not because I remember I got my account banned really I think in early mop because I was botting, I was gold farming, and I made a lot of money off of it. I literally bought myself like obviously like my first car wasn't like a nice car or anything, but it helped me buy my first car. So I used to be like, ooh, I don't want to tell anybody about that. I don't care anymore. And I got that account actually back because it's been so many years later that they're just like, ah, we don't care. They wiped all the gold off of it though, which is fine, obviously. But like
Fair play.
I do have the character back, and I'm 90% sure it was like my vanilla warrior, which like it feels good, you know, it feels
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And I guess you had your intro, and I agree with you. I did make a free to play. I do have a free to play rogue, and that sense of achievement is like it's crazy. It's like nothing else you can experience. Like honestly, other than end game, like end to end game, like you doing that. But for me, I got that sense of accomplishment in Endgame, so I didn't want to do it twice, I guess. So like my free to play is like bare minimum, right? Like just scraping by like playable, and I'll get him there eventually, but it's just like it's good enough for now.
Yeah.
But the reason I play the 20s bracket is because it's the most populated bracket. If 49s was the most populated bracket, I would play that. It wouldn't matter to me. I don't care about the play style if it's you know, like a lot of people are saying like 19s coming up in Wrath are going to be more populated than 39s, et cetera, et cetera. But like that one, for example, I'm choosing to play for a specific reason, and we'll get to that later. But I basically play Twinks to PvP. I like to get into battlegrounds and not to fucking I plan to crush levelers, bro. No, that's none of the twinks that you know that you see pretty publicly and often on places like the forums or the ones that are making YouTube videos. Usually they're not the ones that are playing to crush levelers, right? Like they're usually the ones that are like, all right, let's get some fucking war games going, or let's get some fucking anything. Yeah, let's get war games going, or let's do a 5v5 queue up, try to sync queues against each other, right? Like that's the kind of twink PvP that I enjoy. And the general consensus of most people is just like, oh my god, bro, like you just playing to crush levelers. And that's just not the case for everybody. And it's frustrating that we're seen that way, to be completely honest. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that people who play twinks want, like I was thinking about this earlier when people on that thread on the Blizzard forums were like, "You guys are just you've been crushing levelers and now you're going to get crushed and it serves you right." I was thinking about that and I was like, "No, really, like what twinks want is the same thing that everybody wants, right? Which is you get home from work, you get home from school, you want to fire up a game, you want to press a couple buttons, and you want to get into some PvP, right? And that's what twinks want too, right? Ultimately, what we want is a 3 to 5 minute queue that gets us into some PvP, and we're hoping that those games are kind of fun. And there's a variety of reasons why sometimes those games aren't fun. um, but they what we're looking for is that same thing, right? If all I wanted to do was crush levelers, I'd enchant a set of heirlooms and just level from 10 to 60, right? Like that's what I would do because I would
Yes.
dominate.
Yeah.
I would dominate in every bracket except 20s where there are twinks. Like if that's what I wanted to do, that's how I would play the game. But like a lot of twinks get very attached to their characters, their specific characters. Like I said, my old vet or my vet warrior is my old 39. I've had that tune longer than some of your viewers have been alive. Like I, I'm extremely attached to that character. I want to play it, and so yeah, man. Like I think that there's just that level of like I want easy games, and that's what free to play Twinking brought so many people was it's easy games. I don't have to worry about it.
Yep. And you can gear either way. You can gear the hard way, which is, what you do, and then you can gear the easy way, which is just buy a bunch of pieces off the auction house if you really wanted to, right? The vet way. Or you can even do like kind of the mix of what I do is, you get some pieces here, you buy some there, and you get a hodgepodge of a finished character, and it's good enough to, to compete.
Hashtag good enough. Yeah.
Yeah, man, exactly. So, yeah, I think so. And then going from that, I guess, does this mean, and I already kind of know the answer to this, but for the people, does this mean the bracket's dead? From somebody that's seen it before, is the bracket gonna die?
No. So I think there are two concerns that people have. And those concerns are, did I waste all this time and energy on my 20? Right? No, you didn't. Unless you decide that you did, right? Um, because there's so much stuff to do at 20 that isn't PvP. And there's also always going to be a scene of people playing at 20 who want to play 20s specifically.
Yep.
So, no, you didn't waste all this time and effort on your 20s. Go engage in the free to play lifestyle. Do some PvE, do some quests, do some creative use of game mechanic shenanigans. Have a good time with it, but also like link up with some of the guys who are going to be doing more of the like organized 20s play. Guys like Bop and Wiz and Fail and Flynn and those guys are always going to be looking for 20s arenas. Like there will probably be people who are looking for 20s war games to some degree. Like so, no, 20s haven't died. There's also some concern that like 29s will kill 20s and that 29s will disappear. No, it's going to happen. Historically, what has happened in this situation is that there are enough what we call them weird free to plays because they're free to plays who don't seem to know that like gems exist and like gem slot gear exists, and they literally are just geared in like BG crate gear. And those guys play and queue constantly, and they're not going to stop queuing constantly. Like guys like Pew Hefner are not going to quit playing the game.
Yeah,
right.
good point.
And so 29s are always going to have some people to queue against. So they're not going to die either. What I think is going to happen is what has historically happened, which is the bracket's going to have a peak 6 to 8 hours a day in the evening as people get off work and get off school. Queues are going to be 15 minutes to half an hour, depending on faction balance. People will get 8 games in a night, and then queues will die, and that'll fade out. And it'll like because there is that population of free to plays there, like it's never gonna fully die like they did in Wrath, or well, I guess not Wrath, but roundabout Kata. All the twink queues started to die when after they had segregated the queues out for the first time.
It was Kata. It was late Kata, right? 335 was when they separated the queues, wasn't it?
Well, 3-2 was when they
Oh,
separated the queues in Wrath. And
okay.
then but the brackets didn't really die until like late Kata, early Mop. And then
Okay.
Mop saw history lesson. Mop saw a huge resurgence in 19s, right? And they really got off to a great bracket. Like Mop 19s, people cite as one of like the pinnacles of Twinking. Was really good. And there were a lot of like 39s revitalization, 49s revitalization, stuff like that in MOP that happened. But Kata was when the kind of casual, you don't have to schedule game nights queues died.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
uh, so I think what's going to end up happening again is the same thing because there's a population of free to plays that are never going to stop queuing. 29s will always have somebody to queue into.
Yeah.
It's just going to be 15 to 30-minute queues, 6 to 8 hours a day. And that's
Yeah.
going to be kind of it. Yeah.
It's going to be similar. I think it's going to be better than the state of like 19's TBC because I mean, what was that? Because those games also just didn't have timers. So that's one reason that that bracket is like it seems like oh games never pop. Well, there's at least one or two games going on, but they're full and they last 3 fucking hours.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
because we've got pizza running around with his crew, and they go, oh well, I'm in one and I'm about to jet for for dinner. Somebody come in and take my place, and people backfill the queue, which is totally fine. Like whatever, do your shit. But yeah, that's one reason that 19s in TBC feels so slow is because there's like no timer on games. That's not necessarily going to happen here because there's weird free to plays, right? There's a ton of them still, and B, there's 20s and all of the XP off brackets. So technically, there's like three weird brackets kind of hodgepodge together in this 20 through 29 bracket. So I don't think this bracket's going anywhere, to be completely honest. I think some people are gonna like check out other ones. I think there's some people are speculating like 19s might be a thing, like in a little bit, like for at least a week or something. I could see somebody trying it. I could see somebody trying to get the motivation to do it, but they're missing the population, I think, and that's the biggest thing.
I
Um,
think I
Go
think
ahead.
those oddball brackets are a little bit of an attachment to a number that's kind of vestigial. Like at this
Yep.
point, why are you playing 19s? Right? Like before Shadowlands, you played 19s because it was still the only unmounted bracket.
Yep.
But mounts at 10 now. Like
Now
why are
it's
you playing 19s?
the only
Um,
slow mounted bracket, right? Like
yeah.
so.
So yeah.
Okay. Um, Going from there, I guess another thing that a lot of people have talked about is like, won't we get like fucking destroyed by like grandfather raid gear 29s? And how many of them actually are there? Like, so I guess you can voice. Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't think it will be raid gear that you need to worry about. You can look through some of these old grandfathered 27s, grandfathered 25s, and look at their stat lines, and they're worse than my free to play. Um, which I mean, okay, my free to play is better geared than most vets, but um, you look through it, and so the stat line just isn't. It's not there, right? But once 29s really hammer out what is BIS, what the best weapons, the best items, the best gems, and stuff like that, I think there is going to be a considerable difference between a 29 and a 20, at least in terms of gear.
Okay.
Historically, the type of person who goes to the top of a bracket to farm free to plays is such a knuckle dragging idiot that they tend to get their asses handed to them when they play against 20s in any sort of like serious situation. Um, I remember when 24s were a thing, when the bracket was divided into 20s, 24, and then 25 to 29. Um, that there were free to plays who played pre-mades against 24s and took games off of them.
Oh, I believe
Like,
it.
like I don't know how it is now, like, but your average free to play is probably about as good as your average 29. But somebody like WizKid's not dropping games against 29s. WizKid's farming 29s. Um, And so I don't think that like 20s are going to get destroyed by 29s. I think it'll feel, and I played a couple of games over the past couple of nights on my 20.
Yep. Same.
It it feels like early BFA, right? Like
Mm,
if I'm 1v1 against a 29, I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose that fight. One, because I'm not terribly good at the game, but two, uh, there's just a stat imbalance there,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. There's no
Um,
doubt that there is going to be a stat increase at 29. Like it is.
yeah,
It's going to happen.
yeah. If I'm 1v1ing a 29 warrior, he's got die by the sword, disarm, storm bolt. Like I'm not going to do anything to him for a full like 30 seconds. So I'm losing that fight. But in a game where I've got some 29s and they've got some 29s and I've got some free to plays and they've got some free to plays, you can start making a difference, especially if you're on like CC classes, man. Like CC, like mages, warlocks, shaman, guys who can CC where it's not their damage that's what is important, it's their CC, can swing games even if they're 20. So I'm not that worried about that aspect of it. I would be more worried about like losing duels or losing 2v2 arenas just because of the stat imbalance.
Right. And that's like, there's a lot of people that care a lot about their duels, man. So like I can see, yeah, right. That's what I say too. I mean, duels are fun now and again, but it's like it is rock paper scissors also to a point, right? Like sometimes you're just not gonna beat that Destro lock, like
Yeah.
he's gonna two shot you.
I have to kick the soul fire. I get feared into the chaos bolt.
Right. So yeah, you trinket the fear, you get slowed, rocket jump away, chaos bolts casting. So yep, no, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I don't think that people have figured out BIS for 29s yet. I don't think it's gonna be that crazy, and I also don't think that raid gear. There's one hunter that I saw. Somebody linked in Armory somewhere, and the dude's got like a legendary bow. He's got a what is it? A ring that has a chance to proc like 30 some agility on it.
Yeah,
Like he's
yeah.
got some of that shit. That's the first one I've seen so far, and I'm not saying there's none out there, but that's the dude I'm worried about, right?
That sounds like my old raiding hunter.
Yeah, like I've never even seen that ring in the game before. I don't even know where the fuck it's from. But it's a thing, and we're gonna have to face it if the guy decides to queue up. So I think that's the only thing really. Somebody was saying that they were playing I think I saw in the Discord that they were playing their 29 rogue, not very geared or whatever, but he was like, dude, you can shut down a hunter. Like smoke bomb with everything else, like they just sit there and do nothing. And I was like, okay, that's interesting, and I like to see that, but it's like, what hunter did you do that to, right? Like I'd like to see you do it to, like, there are a few hunters in the bracket which are fucking dangerous, like there's a
Did you
handful
do
of
it to
them.
Dimitri? No, you
Right.
didn't. Uh,
Right.
yeah.
So that's I'm kind of in the same boat. Obviously there's going to be some stat imbalance, but we'll see what happens. I think team play is going to be like really important, and if 29s are just, jerking it into mid, as long as you're playing objectively, whatever, right?
And as a free to play who remembers the days of the best enchant you had was +1 weapon damage, like
Yeah.
you just kind of get used to taking the L. Like you're gonna lose this fight. Distract as many of them as possible so that your team scores. Like that's the
Yeah.
game is 20, right? That's
Yeah.
that's your game at 20.
Yep. I remember when I was trying to farm marks on my free to play rogue, and it was just like, what do I do? I can't kill anything. So what do I do? I CC the shit out of things. I sap fucking everybody. I basically don't leave stealth. And if I do, it's when a hunter is casting aim shot in order to cheap shot him so he doesn't one shot our healer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shit like that, right? That you have to play objectively on a class that doesn't have the damage output or whatever. So yeah, that's all right. I'm glad we're kind of on the same page there too. And I know the answer to this question too, but I mean, you got to ask it, right? Are you done with 20s?
No, no. I am I will at some point be done with 20s, but it's going to be one of those things where it's on my own terms and not like because of some change Blizzard makes.
That's fair.
Um,
Yeah.
I've been doing it long enough that like this isn't like a existential crisis causing moment. It's just like, oh, here we go again. So I think that yeah, not done with 20s, not because of this.
Right.
Maybe at some point in the very near future, but
Well,
it'll be
you still have your you got to get Black Paw. You got to do a bunch of other shit like on your free to play, of course. You know, like
yeah. I do have some like retirement triggering moments. Like if I get Black Paw, it's over. I'm gonna get Black Paw and I'm done. I'm quitting. Quitting the game. So, but yeah, no, this is, I mean, 20s have been bottom of the PvP totem pole for the vast majority of their existence. So this is not all that new. Like, I'm fine. So,
what do you mean by that? I want to sit on that point for a second. When we get gear and shit like that, I wouldn't call us the bottom of the totem pole, would you?
okay, so consider when vets are geared and enchanted, uh, currently they're really quite good. But like 8.0 through 8.15 in BFA, brackets were merged. So the top of the 20s bracket was 29 twinks, not vets, not free to plays,
Oh, okay.
right? And then Legion was all templates. So the top of the totem pole was 29s who had their like high eye level white gear, right?
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
free to
yeah.
plays, not 20s, because it didn't matter then, right? And then like in WAD, it was the gear scaled so weirdly that like if you were a free to play, you would probably already blown through all these quests and gotten all these old quest rewards. You couldn't go back and get them. But the top of the PvP pile were the people who went back and got those overstated like level 8 quest rewards that scaled astronomically in the bracket. You know, so it wasn't 20s and vets and WAD. Like
Okay.
for most of the existence of vets and free to plays, and especially free to plays, we were the bottom of the PvP pile. Because remember, free to plays didn't have enchants until Shadowlands.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I found out
So
that way later, and I'm glad you're here because I don't have that history lesson to give to people about like, you know, like you saying on the we're the bottom of the totem pole, and it's like, well, hang on. I've only been are my cats fighting? They fucking are. Uh, I've only really known 20s since Shadowlands, so it's like to me, I hang on 2 seconds.
yeah.
But feel free to keep talking. Hey,
Me keep talking, rambling? Boy, that's gonna be hard. Yeah, no, I think that you know, if you were a free to play player before Shadowlands, like imagine playing a warrior without Crusader, right? Like imagine playing any caster without like the plus spell power and chance, or without LE Force. Play an Athlock without LE Force, right? Or without a spell power and chant or something like that. Like, ouch, like that sucks. And so, but if you played that, like you're used to that. Like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm back to being the bottom. Like it's 8.1, it's 8.1 all over again. It's just that this time free to plays have enchants.
which okay, yeah, that makes sense, and also that brings them up quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so that makes sense. All right, cool. Because I'll put it this way for me to answer like, am I done with 20s? I don't think I'm done with 20s outside of whenever y'all want to be like, hey, let's queue up, you know, our shamans or whatever shit, you know, like let's play some organized shit outside of the random BGs. I don't think I'm not obviously gonna fucking level my 20s. Like that's stupid. Like if your guys are doing that, I wouldn't. I'm just saying.
Never level a twink.
No.
Never. Never level a twink.
So but outside of solo queuing, I don't know, man. I actually might have to make myself a 29. Now, granted, am
Oh
I gonna be
no.
the person that fucking makes a double Dark Iron Pulve Whirlwind spamming Fury Warrior? Absolutely fucking not. Like, I don't play like that. I'm not gonna make a fucking hunter either. You know what I mean? It's like there's obviously moral guidelines that I'm going to follow. Like, you know, and like it sounds weird. Like, why do you have like why do I have this like weird silver lining thing about this? It's just like I don't know. I just there's a lot of people are bringing morals into the 29s versus 20s argument, and it's just like, dude, if I'm solo queuing, I don't want to get my ass handed to me by a fucking 29. I just don't. If it's a 29 hunter, that's one thing. If it's another 29, and you know what that's kind of my stick with it, you know. And I call me a tourist, call me what you will. I understand it.
Tourists.
That's fine, man. I get it, and I understand it because dude, I showed up in SL, so I completely understand. Um,
No, I get it, but like if I'm solo queuing up, and Bot brings up a good point in the chat here. Yes, we're reading chat, by the way. That why do we give 29s the opportunity to get games? Good question. Fuck 29s. But two, it's past 30 seconds, right? I can say
yeah, you're
that.
good. You're
Okay.
good.
No, but two, like he also mentioned, I brought up being a distraction. Uh, it, it, that that how much more of a distraction am I going to be than somebody who is brand new to the game, right? Like, what more am I going to do than somebody who's just like, I've got key binds on my like 7 through equals keys, and I'm keyboard turning, and so I think that like I don't know, man. I'm not done with 20s, and I'm super super eager to get into more 20s PvP. Like Korgath 2.0 win. Like for those of you who don't know, Korgath was a PvP arena project in free to plays way back in the day where they made tunes on the Korgath server specifically to PvP against each other, and it was fantastic and great and fun. And we should do that again. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Let me poke Bop in the chat. Get that going for us, baby. Hey, Flynn in the chat too. Yeah, get that going for us. But yeah, I think that's the future of 20s, and that's why I'm not done with 20s. Is that scene is still going to exist, and I
Yep.
like that a lot.
And that's the thing too, is that's what I mean is like when it comes to competitive stuff like that, I'm definitely not done with it. If we're gonna queue some war games, if we're gonna queue some fucking shuffles, I'm not gonna ask to queue my fucking 39 into you guys. That's obvious, right? Like I'm not gonna
Yeah,
fucking do that.
I mean, bring it. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Just no sudden death, right? And by the way, you guys, hang on to your questions till the end. I am browsing through chat, but we do have some stuff that I want to cover. So like, I don't mind coming up like this, how we just did. Perfectly fine, perfectly fluid. But another point that you make about Korgath, though, is I actually talked to Bop about this, I think yesterday. We're trying to do that with the Arena Discord server, right? Because you don't need the you don't need to be on the same server anymore. You just need to be on your fucking friends list now. So like that's kind of what we've established so far, and I'm actually really happy with how it's turned out. There's not that many active people that enjoy war games, and I think it's just because people are shy. Notice that as soon as we added the skirmisher role, a lot more people started queuing skirms and stuff like that, like the ratings and stuff like that. People are like, okay, well, I want my higher rank in the Discord, and it's kind of that in itself has turned into its own ladder without the ladder, right? Like I appreciate everything that Aaron has done over on the arenaranked.fun site. And it's awesome what he's done. I'm curious as to see what they're going to do with the 29s and stuff like that. And if they're just going to exclude them, entirely possible. But we'll see, you know? Yeah, that'd be nice. Okay. Let's see. And I also know the answer to this one, and I kind of just outed this, but are you going to make a 29?
No, no. I have zero interest in 29s. Um, I that's I do hate on 29s, and I kind of need to get that out there because 29s historically exist as a bracket just to pick on free to plays. And before free to plays, 29s were still one of the most like noxious brackets in the game. Like it was, it's always kind of been like the worst people play 29s. Um, but it's not specifically because I'm like never gonna play 29s. I just my interest in retail is free to play, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and that's the only thing still tying me to retail. And I think that if I was foreshadowing future questions, I think if I was going to do anything but play 20s on retail, it would be something with classic. Um, like that's yeah, I just free to free to play retail to me is the best MMO in the world, and I love playing it. But as soon as I'm kind of like done with that, I don't have any interest anywhere else in retail.
That's fair. That's fair. I understand that. What was I gonna say? Obviously, I said I was gonna make a 29. I'm going to make two of them because there's DFs. No, that's it. Horde and Alliance. Shut up. I'm gonna make a Horde and an Alliance because I think some people were talking about one of the queue times was actually like super high versus the other ones, which I'm kind of surprised that there's that much of an imbalance right now. I always thought that it was pretty even. That's why I make both factions even at 20. So I'm kind of interested to see if that continues going forward. Like if Alliance has 45-minute queues to get in a game with 7 people, like. And if people don't start re-rolling Alliance, for example, yeah, you're going to see a very slow and possibly sad bracket for a little while, unless people decide to actually fix this. Um, what was I going to say? And then I guess going from there is what would you do to, other than just revert what fucking happened on Tuesday, what would you do to fix the state of the bracket as it is today? What do you know?
Uh, okay, interesting question. Shameless plug. I had a video up last week on my channel.
Go
That
sub to him.
was yeah, that was Are We the Baddies? Where I hilariously talked about how we needed to accept the fact that we are the bad guys in World of Warcraft PvP, and we need to kind of tailor our behavior a little bit so that we don't get put in the XP off queues. And then a week later, what happens? So I think Blizzard has a legitimate concern here, and that is Twinks and Leveler battlegrounds, right? And I think that levelers have a legitimate complaint against Twinks in their battlegrounds. So I
Yep.
think the question becomes, um, if you want to solve the Twink problem, how do you solve the Twink problem? And I think that requires a dev team that plays the game, and we don't currently have that. Or
Yeah.
maybe not even a dev team, like a game designer team that plays the game at low levels. Like, because if you were Blizzard coming to me saying, how would you solve this problem? I would start with one. I would nerf every gem in the game. It would give every gem in the game would give one stat. Period. Um,
Below like
Two,
the max level gems.
yeah, below like max level. Not I don't have +3 strength gems in my gear. They would all be +1 strength. You could get like +1 crit gems, you could get +1 verse gems, but it would be +1 gems. Um, Two, I would disable enchants in PvP, period. Disable enchants, disable on use, disable proc gear, all of that gets disabled. So not quite as hard as Legion templates were,
Hmm.
because I would still want people to be able to customize the gear that they had.
Yeah, and what
But
secondaries they
like
have.
but like the difference in gear between what a level 20 is wearing and say what like a level 26 leveler is wearing, not not really. There's not much of a difference in gear there. It's the enchants, it's the gems, it's the proc gear, it's all of that. Disable all of that. Uh, and then I think you actually legitimately have a situation where, yes, you have a twink who is ever slightly so better geared than their leveler counterparts, but it's not to such an egregious degree that they're getting one shot.
Yes.
Levelers are still going to lose because they're just going to get outplayed. And even that's not like a skill, like an individual one-on-one skill level. It's just that twinks have more experience in the bracket. They know what works. They know the pace of the games better, all that stuff. And so I guess people will still complain about it a little bit, but like at that point, what are you really complaining about? Get good. Um,
Right. So just
that's how I would fix it.
so like make the power gap lower. Would you also join the queues in everybody in the 20 through 29 bracket, just at free for all?
Yeah, I think if you do that, I think you can remerge the queues. Like
Okay.
if your 29 twink
Yeah.
is only has +1 gems and doesn't have enchants, they don't have proc trinkets, they don't have on use trinkets, how much stronger are they than a level 29 leveler, right? Not
5%.
very. 5%. Let it go.
Then a 20, for example, because of the armor proficiency specifically, unless you're like Tense who uses, mail and leather on his holy pally.
Yeah. Yeah. But so I think like there's that. Like but I think also in an MMO you have to allow like part of an MMO is the gear, and people who are better geared should perform better than people who aren't better geared, assuming equal skill. Like
Yep.
that's part of an MMO. If you don't like that, why are you playing an MMO? Go play League, go play Dota, whatever it is, where they equalize gear or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, that's that's how I would solve it. How would you solve it?
Man, I don't know. Like that's probably the better of the answers. I haven't really thought about this question too much. I wrote this one down and then got slammed at work after I sent it to you. It was just like, man, I don't know what I would do. I kind of like the fact that they are that in Classic, if you guys haven't heard, in Wrath Classic, they're merging XP off queues with regular queues, which is cool. Like right on. The other thing that I would think, I know this kind of sounds weird, but if they let free to play, if they bumped you up to 29 and then but everything else stayed the same, does that make things better?
I
Does that
mean, levelers just learn to skip PvP at 20 to 29, which is what they pretty much do now.
Yeah,
Um,
like the amount of people that have said I avoid the 20s bracket because it's a plague, like is crazy. There's a lot of people that they just don't fucking level through PvP, which like I only ever did in like Epic Battlegrounds. So like I leveled like that through AV. What's the other one? Oh my God. I Love Conquest.
yeah, I
That's
don't
one of the
know.
newer ones. Yeah. So like any big 40 man, Ashran was one of them, right? Like I liked doing it that way, but anything that was ever smaller scale, like I never queued up when you had like specific queues. I never queued up for Warsong when I was leveling. I was like, that's a fucking nightmare in any bracket. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah, just get curb stomped because
Yeah, basically. So I don't know. I think if they bump the free to play up just to an upper bracket, I think it would be awesome. I don't think they're gonna do that because they're giving an example here, right, of where, okay, you're 20, here's some PvP for you. Oh, but these guys pay for the game, and they
yeah.
get to do the same thing in the same bracket as you're doing. So, I mean, I think
20s bracket is pay to win.
yeah, exactly. You're not wrong. At this point, it's that's basically what it is. Um, this is kind of going off topic a little bit, but I heard, and I don't know how true this is. Somebody tried to XP off queue with a 19 with a free to play account, and I thought they said that they were actually able to queue. I don't know if that changes anything, but like, do you think that
That
that could get people's, like, if they merge the 19s bracket?
They specifically disabled queuing for Battlegrounds with your XP off on a starter account to prevent the entire 19s bracket from going free to play.
Or a vet. Or a vet.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they like
But
the
I was wondering
entire
if a change was made like as soon as Tuesday that like you may be able to do that now. I haven't tested it out, obviously, but
I haven't tried it either. I don't know that you would get enough of a movement of people interested in doing that.
that's fair.
Um, maybe you get like free to plays who want to play 19s. That doesn't really appeal to me, but
Yeah.
maybe it appeals to other people. I can't say. Like that's one of those things where it's like if y'all want to try to get that community bumping and it's possible, I don't think it's possible.
Okay.
I would question that person's I would question that.
Okay.
It's possible they turned their XP off on an active account and tried to Q19s.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too, but I was like, wait, haven't tried that. And I was like, Chops doesn't have anything under level 20 on his free to play. Like what, what?
Oh, I do, but
Well, okay.
I have a bunch of old 20s that are now 10s.
Yes, I've seen people post some of those and or not those, but the 29s that are now like 13s or 16.
Yeah.
And dude, some of that, seeing those are just like, oh, that's a cool tune, man. There's a lot of history there. Like not a lot, but like there's history of like, how the fuck did he get that enchant?
Yeah, show me your old 29s that have like grandfathered plus 15 strength to gloves, plus 6 stats to chest, mongoose on their Crescent of Forlorn Spirits, like all that cool stuff. Like I love those tunes. They're so cool. I sadly leveled my rogue that had all of that. Hurts my feelings a little bit, but
okay. Yep. No, so yeah, I don't know if there is any fixing this. Do you think we've kind of touched on this like in conversation back when Microsoft ended up buying Blizzard, I guess they did, right? That's basically what happened. It was a merger, quote unquote.
It hasn't happened yet.
Oh, right. It doesn't take place until is it September?
Shit, I don't know.
I remember talking about it, but I don't remember actually like a specific date because I'm surprised I'm remembering anything that I was talking about today because memory is great. So do you think that the free-to-play level cap will ever increase?
Ever? Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
Soon? No.
Okay. By DF, do you think it'll increase?
No.
No? Okay.
No. Ion has a Stokes, whatever that guy's name is. It was in an interview with somebody and they asked him about expanding the starter account experience. I think it was Mr. GM. Shout out to the dude asking, like the only YouTube content creator outside of the 20s bracket who actually asks about 20s stuff.
Yeah, true.
Asked him if they were ever thinking about expanding the starter account experience and just rapid right off the bat. I was like, no, we're happy with it. So I don't see it capping out at like 30. I don't see them giving us access to like raids and stuff or anything like that. Not for a long while. At some point in the future, I kind of expect the whole game to go free to play. Like 10 years down the road, they're just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Like it's free, pay us for cosmetics. We've moved on. We've released whatever StarCraft 3 or whatever their next cash cow is. And they're just like, yeah, whatever. WoW's dead. It's free to play. Have fun.
Yeah, at that point they're re-releasing StarCraft 2 again again for some reason. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know what I would like to see. I would like to see them bump it to the previous expansion cap and shut off all borrowed power behind it. I would like no what the fuck is it? No covenants, no no neck, no level up cloak thing that like 50s deal with right now. Like none of that shit. Just turn it all off. Delete the items. Like whatever. They've done that with some things, and I'm surprised they haven't done it with more. To be completely honest, what's it called? Like I was looking up today, I was like, well, okay, what level 21 through 29 weapons can you get that are like special besides fucking Dark Iron Pulverizer? I was like, what else is out there? And I was like, oh, the Lionheart weapons.
Singing Crystal Axe.
Singing Crystal Axe, for example. But I was like, oh yeah, the Lionheart, the blacksmithing weapons.
Mm-hmm.
All of those are in Grandfather though. And
Really?
they're bind on pickup. Yep, they brought them back in mop, but basically they were only good for like a patch at endgame, and then now it's just like, okay, go get your transmog for it, because that's the only way you can get the item now. So they're not available from the trainers anymore, and the items themselves are bind on pickup, so you can't actually even
sell them or anything.
You can't sell them. You can't give it to your other character, because I looked it up. I was like, oh well, let's see. Blacksmithing, okay, and I went and grabbed Outland Blacksmithing, and it says, oh, you just learn it from the trainer. No, you don't. It's not here at all. And then also I saw like, oh, it's bind on pickup. I was like, oh, so I would have to do it on the Twink, and then also just the formula isn't, or the pattern just isn't there. So, you know, the other thing too that I kind of thought out, and this is kind of going back to the fix, and I'm kind of surprised this didn't happen. I'm surprised they didn't make specifically starter accounts queue with levelers.
It's on my account.
Yeah, right.
Like, no, they were good.
No, not levelers, but like yeah. Actually, no, it would be levelers. Yeah, so vets and people that had a sub, and XPOff people, those queues get joined together, and then free to plays and levelers join together. Like, what if they were to do that? So free to play was actually punk rock again.
Well,
so to speak, you know?
I think the problem is okay, so in any system, people are going to find a way to exploit that system if they see an advantage to be had, right? And so if you put free to plays in with levelers, I think you automatically see the death of vets, and you see a lot of people suddenly get very interested in, how do I grind epic gems on this free to play account? And so that doesn't really solve the problem. It delays it for a couple of months while a bunch of people who were vets learn the ins and outs of free to play profession juggling, right? And fine, cool. That is a steep barrier to entry to get people into battlegrounds where they're more powerful than your average leveler. And so maybe that barrier to entry is steep enough that people don't try to go over it.
Okay.
But there are people out there who do and who will. I mean,
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. And not saying like everybody is gonna, like, if that was to happen like next Tuesday, right? Not saying everyone is gonna go out and do that. No, they're just gonna play fucking 29s because it's easy and they know how to get gear that way, right? Or they're just gonna play their vets and say fuck it. Like, no one's gonna go, oh well, I want to go back and into the levelers bracket, I'm gonna make a free to play account. There's gonna be a handful of people, but I don't think there's going to be that many. And granted, who knows, man? Maybe there would be, but
I am a little shocked that Blizzard didn't make that distinction, though.
Yeah,
right?
Me too. Because starter
accounts, I would not have thought that let's dump these brand new players into a Twink only bracket was smart.
Yeah.
But I guess they're either banking on the fact that you enjoyed your leveling experience enough that you're going to sub to the game, or once you get to the end, you're like I made it a post on the forums. I think the majority of people who play a starter account either play a starter account, get to 20, go, that was fun, I'm going to sub. That wasn't fun, I'm not going to sub. Or are free to plays who are going to say, this is fun, I'm never subbing. There probably aren't many people who are like, cool, man, I'm going to play this starter account for another 4 months. and then sub,
Right.
right? There probably aren't that many people. So I think maybe that's kind of where their head was at, is they were like, fuck it, they're going to get to 20. They're either going to sub or they're a twink, right? And so that's kind of maybe where their decision making process was.
Yeah. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with like, I mean, if you look at the 20s bracket, to be completely honest, if you were to look at the amount of players and the amount of fucking twinks there actually are queuing up for the random BGs, like the brackets, there's a lot of us. There's a lot of level 20s, man. I mean, so much so as like I'd see 15v15 games full sometimes. You'd get the 3-5-man sync queues on one side, and they're like, oh, we finally met up with the other ones, and it's just and it's a long, good game normally, as long as the comps match up well, but like it does happen. It does happen. So like, I don't know, that'd be interesting. Where the fuck was I going with that? Okay. So looking forward a little more towards the future, what are you gonna stay 20 in DF? Is there any reason that you would go up to 29 on your vet in DF? Like, where's your head at there? You think you're gonna stay the same? It's not gonna change anything for you?
Yeah, it doesn't like the release of DF doesn't change anything for me, other than me looking at the warrior class trees and going, Stormbolt is right there.
Did they bump it again?
There. It's one tier beyond what we can get to.
Of course, they did that on purpose with this most recent shit.
No, I know it. Yeah, no. Other than that, like, DF is going to be cool, man. I'm excited to potentially get through some of the Shadowlands content on my free to play. Yeah, Odie's right there. The only possible way I go 29 is if they make free to plays 29. I'm excited to get into that. This also takes a lot of like weight and worry off of my shoulders, because there is always that possibility that if somebody figures out a way to glitch into like covenant abilities, do the God, what do they call it? The soul binds, which is like that second talent tree that they have.
Yeah. I think that's going away.
There was always a worry to me that somebody figures out a way to do all that stuff, but now it's going to be 29s figuring out all that way to do all that stuff, and people are going to like the sort of like FOMO of, am I going to miss this essential glitch in the first 6 hours of pre-patch? That's gone, right? Because it doesn't matter. Who cares if 29s get it? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, for
who cares?
Free to plays, that's true. Yeah.
For free to plays, it doesn't matter. So that it's almost taken a huge weight off my shoulders about the upcoming Dragonflight expansion. So I'm kind of stoked about that, and I'm stoked for, as you alluded to, for free to play to be the new punk rock again. Like, I was positively giddy the night that this happened, because it was like, free to play goes back to being the cool kids. Like, we're the weirdos again, instead of the most popular way to do things.
That's true. So, yeah, you guys were the cool. Like, it was the large group, and then the two people holding the large group together split up, and now it's just like, oh my God, we hate those people, and we think we're the best now, and like, they're very obviously the lower of the two groups, but the mental is there, which is like, I think that's awesome, the fact that like y'all want to keep doing it. And like I said, I do too. I'm not dismissing my 20s no matter what. Not touching them. But
I fully understand the appeal of 29s. I completely get it.
Yeah.
But not for me.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's totally fair. I obviously have said that I'm gonna do a couple 29s on both sides. So I'm gonna see what it's like in DF. I don't know if I'm going to twink that much into DF now, especially now that, next point, classic queues got merged again. So that kind of brings us up to what we both kind of been working on in semi-silent. I am leveling a 39 in Wrath. You're leveling a 39. We've got quite a few people from our old 19s guild leveling to 39. As well as some people from the 20s bracket that are going to level to 39. So like I don't know, man. And here's the reason too that I want to go to 39. I've heard that is where the damage and abilities and just the general health of the class balance in the bracket is the most equal. Sure, hunters are still kind of strong, but they're not going to fucking two-shot you, right? Like, that's just not how it is. Now, you go down to 19s, it's a little shaky on that ground. Even now in BC in 19s, it's a little shaky. They're obviously not going to two-shot you, but man, good luck getting away from them, right? So I think I'm going to definitely play. I'm going to try my 19s out since they're basically BIS without the BOAs, right? So I'm going to see what happens with those since they're fucking done already. And that's the genius in my brain to classic twinking. Once you're done, you're fucking done, man. It's great. You don't have to worry about it anymore. I haven't touched 2 of my 19s in months and they're still pretty fucking BIS, man. And I'm really happy about that. So I'm looking forward to having that again in Wrath with my 39. I'm going to finish him. He's going to be BIS or close to it, whatever, good enough. and we'll go from there. And maybe I use that as my actual twink bracket. And maybe I fucking love endgame DF, dude. Who knows? I always play the first season of DF or of the next expansion endgame. I always play the first season because I'm a PvP person. I don't like raiding. Mythic Plus has no appeal to me. So yeah, I'm gonna go that way. Do you think there's going to be a lot more appeal to send Twinking when Wrath comes out and when DF comes out away from retail and just send it back over to Classic?
That was Andre's like big brain thought process, right? Was that they were going to make Twinking as hostile as possible on retail to drive Twinks to Wrath in order to make sure that there was a population of people to pop battlegrounds from 10 to 19s all the way up to 80 in Wrath. Because as cool as Classic is, and I think Blizzard did great from start to finish on Classic. It's fantastic. As cool as it is, there just isn't a huge population of people for it, right? And they kind of know that like the gaming population has changed. Not many people are going to want to try to level through PvP, even if they introduce experience into the battlegrounds, which they're doing. That man, if they were like, how do we get these people who like Twinking to come play Wrath? And we just make it as hostile as possible on retail, and they're just like, they're all just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go play Wrath.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the play. Maybe it was. I think it's a little too sinister. I'm pretty down on corporations in general, but that tweaks me as a little too sinister, a little too well thought out for a company as ham-fisted as Blizzard normally is.
The one reason that I think that is not the case, right, as of right now, you got to remember, Activision. It's not only Blizzard, it's also Activision. There's that thread or that article about Blizzard like patenting a method to drive people into a subscription method. Like they're trying to mess with the psyche of the player just enough so that it's like, well, all right, like I was saying for even just the 20s bracket in retail, well, if I just sub, I can get to 29 and that's it. That's another subscriber. Well, I'll just go play Wrath. That's another subscriber. You know what I'm saying? And that's a subscriber that also can go play the new fucking content in DF. So like, I think they've finally hit the funnel almost on the fucking head, man. I know that doesn't make any sense,
No,
but
they've done enough carrots. Now they're breaking out the stick.
yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah.
So I don't know. I'm really excited for everything coming up. Whether I just like gearing Twinks too, anyway. So I'm like, I've been poking around the 29's gear. Like, what the hell's out there? What can I get? You know, what isn't fucking broken? Obviously, like I'm not gonna use a dark iron pulp. Like I refuse to. You can get the unstoppable force, which is a three
Yes.
second stun. So maybe there's that, but I also don't know how often that procs either. So if it's too strong, I'm obviously not going to use it. But you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of cool just seeing what unlocked in those next 9 levels that we've been quote unquote missing out on. And that's the only reason that I'm really digging around. I might gear the fucking 29, play a play a BG fully geared and go, well, this is fucking stupid.
I think he'll probably get there. I don't know, man. I think Wrath. I wasn't expecting it to hit me like it did. And I hopped on and I was playing around a little bit, and Drad was just like, "Here's some gear," and just sent me like all this gear for my 39 warrior, and like just seeing the icons was like this
Bling, bling,
wave
bling, bling,
of
bling.
nostalgia that went like waved over me, and I was like, I miss this. Like, I missed everything about Wrath 39s. And they, man, like, I don't know. Like, that may be where I go. Like, it might be one of those things where I'm like, my free to play on retail is just a PvE hero. And I play arenas with the boys, and
Yep.
otherwise, I get my PvP kicks playing in Wrath 39s.
Yep.
Um, I, that seems reasonable to me. I don't know. Haven't decided yet.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Because that's kind of where I'm at too. I'm strictly floating in the ether about a decision. You know, like I'm just doing shit right now. That doesn't mean that this is the end or that's the direction or whatever. But we'll just have to see, to be completely honest.
I think that's how a lot of people feel. It's just kind
Yeah.
of like, whoa, whoa. Especially like at the end of an X pack. It's like
Right.
we were all kind of like, well, what's happening in Dragonflight anyway? Like, what's it going to be like? And then they just drop this bomb on us, and we're all just like, fuck. I mean, an unintended consequence of this move might be that they just get a bunch of people like us who had accounts that were active because we were supporting our twinks, and we're all just like, yeah, fuck it, see you in a couple months, man, and we
Yeah.
just
Right.
all like drop off, you know. So I mean, that's also a possibility, but it's a it's a big choice, I think, and I don't think that there's an answer that anybody really knows for another like couple of months until things like really settle down and solidify a little bit.
Gotcha. Yep. That's kind of where I'm at too. Like I said, once people end up getting their 29s pissed too, we'll see how the bracket like really plays out.
Yeah, I think
Um,
there is that too. Like a lot of people are like rushing 29, grabbing cheap gear off the auction house and
yeah.
playing, and nobody's really put in the effort to be BIS yet.
Yeah.
And that's going to get gnarly.
Yep. I agree. I agree. Um, So going back to kind of what we're talking about now is I threw a poll up and we had 144 responses, which I'm actually surprised on. I said, what's your next move forward? Whether it has to do with twinking or not. And 49% of those 144 people said that they are staying free to play or vets. So that is at
People,
least 70 some
let's
people.
go.
Like, now granted, that might not always be like prime time play slot NA people, right? That could also be split amongst EU and whatever. But like, that's still a nice solid chunk of people that are going to be staying 20s. 23% said they're going to make 29s. 12% said Wrath, and then a surprising 17% said they're just done with twinking for altogether.
I
So
I fully understand every single one of those responses. Like I truly get it. I don't. I sympathize with going 29 for about half a second, then I'm like, nah, fuck y'all.
Yep, I know.
But the rest of them, dude, just quitting altogether, I get it. Going to Wrath, I get it. Staying 20, my people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's about 75% of answers that make sense to you. And then the
The rest of y'all are
23%, the
weirdos.
only reason that you're sympathizing at all is because I'm talking to you in person about it. That's and I can tell.
Don't take my forum responses seriously. I sympathize with the 29s. I do. You want to see what it's like. There's a curiosity factor there. There's the upcoming dragon flight. Like, think about how much deeper in those trees you're going to get with 29.
Stormbolt, Stormbolt,
There's the
Stormbolt.
there's there's what, like 5 or 6 more dungeons that open up. All of a sudden, like four
Yep.
piece the 4-piece warrior set becomes available. So I sympathize. There's so many more possibilities, but also at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I'm like, I would never do that.
Yeah, I understand.
No.
I understand completely. All right. Well, that's basically all I've had that's structured, and we're at an hour 15. I figure I don't know how long you want to do this. That's the one thing we didn't talk about. We can open it up to questions, and we can live chat, go at it. We'll try to get to all of them as we can because Chops is watching. Chops been a lot better about answering, because if I stop talking about what me and him are talking about to read something in the chat, I'm going to forget what we were talking about. ADHD is a bitch, you guys, let me tell you. So yeah, if anybody has some questions, there was probably some that we missed recently. Oh,
I've got one to start us off on. If you guys have questions, get them in the chat while I start talking here, and we're gonna start rolling through them. Even if you've asked those questions already, please do, because the one I'm going to start on is the only one I remember reading. So go ahead and toss them back in there. But this one came from Wapo, who was asking how we thought this was going to affect recruitment for Twinking in the future.
Ooh.
And I think it kills it. I think if we take a lesson from the first time that they segregated queues back in Wrath, right? There was a lot of talk about how this was going to be so good for Twinking. Every game was just going to be Twinks v Twinks. We were going to have just this highly competitive bracket, and they were right. Like, the games all through Wrath and into like early Cata were sick, dude. They were amazing. But eventually it did start to dwindle, as people go on about their lives, they stop playing World of Warcraft. Maybe they swap to Endgame. Maybe they pick up different games altogether. They have a social life, that kind of thing. The bracket starts bleeding players. And one of the things that we kind of don't notice, like this whole X-Pack of Shadowlands, the bracket has been bleeding players. There are names that are from BFA and from Shadowlands that don't play anymore, right? But we also have this like influx of players. And where do those players come from? Predominantly your popularity on YouTube, and getting their asses handed to them in battlegrounds. And they get curb stomped in a battleground. They go, "What the hell just happened? That guy's 5 levels lower than me. How did he 2-shot me?" They hit you. They look you up on the armory, and a lot of them will be like, they're twinks, stupid. But a few of them will be like, I could do that. And that's where your influx of new players come from, right?
Yep.
And so I think that this, for all the same reasons it did in Wrath in the first segregation, this murders Twinking. Like, the Twinking population now is at a high. Well, not really, but it's at its high recently. And it's just going to go down until there aren't any more left, unless they revert the change or do something that brings Twinks and levelers together in the same brackets again. Yeah, man, this kills Twinking recruitment.
Yeah.
Just absolutely murders it. Yeah.
All right, what do we got here? There's a couple people that have thrown some stuff in the chat. When will they fix Thrall's mounted movement speed? That's a great
Never.
question. What I found out actually from when like you have a lower level in there, like if you queue up a level 10 and you get Old Hills, if you have a 60% mount, you're at the same speed as Thrall. So it makes sense for people that didn't have fast mounts, and that dungeon has been bugged for many things for so long. Like if you go into that dungeon, for example, in our PvP, somebody has a PvP flag on, you can't fucking heal them, for example. It's totally fucked, and they just haven't bothered to fix it because the way that it looks is like kind of open world, and I think that's how it's treated for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
But
Fun fact, we in 70s when I was raiding and we were having to do Old Hills, we would take our 60% mounts in our bags with us just so it wouldn't drive us crazy following Thrall. Like we just mount up on the old 60% speed mount and ride behind them.
Let me see here. What realm are we using for the 39th bracket in Wrath? I believe Drad answered that question earlier, but if you weren't here for it, Peggle for Alliance is where like all of Alliance are, like the server is entirely Alliance. And then I think for Horde, it's Fairlina. So
Yeah.
if that's like the two biggest that side population servers, and all the battlegrounds in Wrath or all the servers in Wrath for battlegrounds are queued. There's no like specific groups and no battle groups. So yeah, both of those servers are going to be the Horde and Alliance servers. And there's actually a 39's Twinking Discord hovering around. If I can find it, I will post it in the comments after this video. I'm in it, but I don't have the link ready. I'll post it in the description after this video. Do you think levelers will be happy now?
No, levelers are never happy. Again, when the first segregation came around, what a lot of people did was create leveling twinks because heirlooms were a thing. So they just enchanted their heirlooms, put them on like a 24, and just leveled through the bracket. And there were levelers on the forums complaining about them doing that. Like,
Yep.
no, levelers are never going to be happy.
I remember
they'll
doing
find something
that.
else to whine about.
I actually did that at some point. I couldn't tell you what X pack it was, but we were like, let's level. Well, we can grab these heirlooms. Yeah, they're actually some of the strongest things we can wear. It was probably late Wrath, to be completely honest. And it was like, oh, here's some cheap enchants that I had from my main. And it's like, oh, okay, we're kind of competitive now. But yeah, that was kind of fun. Let me see. Given the amount of gold spent on Twink gear, do you think they will reverse any of this in the unnamed name of WoW token sales? What do you mean? Like, will you be able to charge back your WoW tokens? I don't think so.
I think he's asking if they'll see a dip in WoW token purchases.
Oh, I bet they will.
Because I don't know. Think about all the people who are about to buy WoW tokens for 29 gear.
That's true. Yeah, and people are going to make new farmers, so those subs are going to be up, right? Because you got to post auctions to sell them. So yeah, that's I
mean, the concept that twinks, especially free to play and vet twinks, were just too broke to pay for a sub has always been kind of a joke because we do spend a lot of money. Like my vet warrior has, if I add it up, it's going to make me sad, but it's over $500 worth of transfers and stuff like that on it. Yeah, man, we spend a lot of money, but we don't really spend more than like your average end game whale, like on race changes and tokens and stuff like that. Like, it's not that we don't spend money; it's that we don't specifically spend any more than anybody else really does. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at too. Is I don't think we spend. There's some 29 or 20s that are absolutely whales, and they like spend way too much real life money in this game for twink gear. Now we spend, between me and you, Chops, that's a decent chunk just in transfers alone, right? Like
too much.
So yeah, I hate saying that out loud as well, but yeah, I don't think it's that much. Let me see here. Oh, here we go. This is a good one. 29s being able to get TBC PvP gear would possibly increase the population due to lowering the barrier to entry for new twinks.
I mean, yeah. And
Yeah.
also the coolest looking sets in the game.
Oh, fucking
TVC
brutal.
PvP gear are all the coolest looking sets in the game. Like,
Yes.
so yeah, I think 29s rapidly grow in popularity. I don't think it gets to a point that the bracket is a healthy population, but
Hmm.
I think the ease of people getting into it is going to
Yeah.
make it really popular for a couple months.
Because even if you just straight PvP, get all your marks of honor through just PvPing, and then just go and buy that gear. Granted, like the legs, I think the legs and the chest or something don't have sockets on them. Like you got to go do
Yeah.
dungeons for that. But like that's still a healthy amount of sockets, and you're gonna be very on par with a geared to the teeth 20. Like that's going to be a very close stat difference right there. Like the only thing that's going to change really is the abilities. So for certain
Yeah.
classes like rogue and stuff like that, it's going to kind of suck. Like that'll
Yeah.
be a good like low barrier to entry for 29. So yeah, I could see that happening. Um let's see here. I noticed this too. Somebody had mentioned, I think it was in the Horde War Machine Discord, that there's stats on the 29 PvP gear TBC, and it's inconsistent. We're entering the realm of fucking tooltip bugs again,
Have
and
fun, bitches.
I'm yeah.
Out.
They fixed 20s, and now it's like, oh hey, you forgot about the rest of the fucking game.
Yeah, have fun, kids. You figure it out yourselves. I'm not helping.
Because there's
Good
so
luck.
much, PvP gear, right? Like there's literally 4 seasons worth, and I think the last two, I think 3 and 4 are like really close, like one item level difference, and I so like there might be 33 stuff that is good as 34 stuff or 35. You know what I mean? Like it just, I'm not looking forward to like figure that shit out. But yeah, that's possible. If you see one, feel free to shout it out. Um,
Are you guys still going to make content in either Twinkie? Yes. Yes.
yep, I will too. It'll just be the twinking that I'm doing. I have one more. I I have one more how to, not how to, but the build guides that I was doing that I'm gonna do, and it's my boomy and maybe some kind of mage. I haven't finished him, and as soon as like all of this happened, I was like, well, I'm gonna do something else now. Like, it killed my motivation to finish my mage, but I'm probably still going to do it. That video is just a long ways away. What about you, Chops?
I think I'll still make content. I have had a blast creating just like a weekly vlog video. I think
I
that's a
watch
lot of
them
fun.
every week,
Um,
man.
I'm glad I'm glad somebody does. Shit. And one of my inspirations when I originally played Wrath 39s was a warrior named Power Glove. Incredible warrior, insanely good. And he made some great videos. And I would love to like make a sort of parody homage of Power Glove 2, like his real big video that he made that everybody loved a lot. I think that'd be funny as hell. But yeah, I love talking about the game. I love rambling into a camera. So
Something about it, right?
yeah, still making content, man. Yeah, still gonna do that.
Yeah. It might not
Need the
be
content.
as
Need the views. Give me the views. Oh yeah, War Pot 2, man. Yeah. Hell, dude. Power Glove and War Potato. Ooh. So good.
Let me see here. If we missed a question, ask it again. Ask it again, because I think we got quite a few of them. I think y'all are arguing a little bit. Y'all should cut that out.
Are twinks just killing levelers? No. Next question.
Do they have
Do they,
Digrats and Wrath?
I think so, because I believe Dig Rat Stew is a vanilla cooking recipe. Um, maybe. That's a good question. I actually don't know, Donor. I have no idea. I feel like the answer is yes. Do I think people will find a way to get raid gear? The answer to that is no. I know people have found a way to get raid gear.
There it
Um,
is.
if I had to choose between Black Paw and a high res Dark Moon bear, which would I choose? I don't know.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Probably Black Paw.
Man, like,
Probably
so
Black Paw.
what is the difference between the high res one and Black Paw? Aren't they? Isn't that technically the new
Black
model?
Paw's high res
Okay,
is the new
okay.
model, but
So
it's completely unarmored, no
yeah, yeah,
saddle, no armor, nothing. A high res Dark Moon bear, because it's a low res model now, would
right.
probably look really sick.
It would, dude.
Like,
Or because the Amani, did the Amani War Bears get changed?
yes, the Amani
Oh,
War Bear is grandfathered. You can go get the Amani Battle Bear currently,
which
which is
is
a
the
purple
new.
reskin of the red and yellow original skin.
Is it just a reskin or is it also the high res model?
I think they're both high res models
Oh,
now.
really? So they revamped the. Wow, no shit. I didn't know that. Okay. I still can't believe that. Yeah, the raid gear thing is also a thing. Like popping back on that. Somebody said my OG 70 druid is in full brutal. He got squished to 27. How much work is needed on him? You could queue up right now. Maybe some gems, but you should be fine if you just queued up right now as a 27 with that. Obviously, if you wanted the rest of up to 29 abilities, I don't know what else druids would get. But yeah, if you want a couple extra abilities, you could go ahead and do that.
I don't know that I would level a grandfathered tune.
I noticed a lot of people aren't.
I don't know that I would.
People are queuing up 27s and just going to town.
Here's my take on that. You can never go get that grandfathered gear on a new tune, but the amount of effort you would have to put into gearing a new 29 and gearing a 27 that you took to 29 is exactly the same.
Yep.
So you might as well level a new tune to 29 and leave your grandfathered tune as a trophy tune.
Yeah,
that's my take on it.
That's exactly what I would do. That is exactly what I would do. Can you get the Amani Warbear on Black Money Auction House? Probably. I don't know. I haven't checked it in a long time.
No idea.
Um,
Sick looking mount though. If you can, you should.
Yeah, definitely. Am I gonna stay with retail Twinking or go Wrath Twinks? I'm considering 29 Twink Holy Pally. We did actually just touch on that. That was like our last topic before we opened up the floor. I think there's a lot of people that are going to try out Wrath Twinking. I mean, we both are. We're specifically going to go into the 39s bracket. We both actually also have 19s. I might give it a shot, but there might be too much of a class imbalance at 19 for my liking. So we'll have to see.
Wrath 39s are, I consider, the pinnacle of twinking.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm definitely going there. If the question is, am I going 39 and leaving retail behind? The answer is no. But I will be playing 39 Wrath.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like I said, too, it all depends on how much DF endgame pulls me in. Because, dude, it could be fucking amazing.
From someone who has the alpha, it's quite good. Just throwing it out there.
So yeah, Twink content for me might be specifically Wrath from now on. Like from DF on, I should say, not from now on, from DF on. Jeez, what do I think about flying being grandfathered? I mean, it doesn't affect in BGs, and so like doesn't really bother me any. And
I think I should take it out of the game, period. But
I agree.
That's not the question.
Yeah, I mean the fact that they have war mode, that's a thing in the game, right? And they still have flying mounts, so it's like, what the fuck's the point? You might as well go war mode and die every once in a while, or just fucking fly away from people, because you can do that now. It's insane. So yeah, take flying out of the game. I'd be fine with fast travel instead of like flying flight points, flight masters, like you got to be out of combat for X amount, like 5 minutes, and you've got to be in a town to do it. You can't just do it, you know, like right after a fight or while you're running away from a fight. I don't think that would be fair, but yeah, fuck flying. I don't like it either. It ruined world PvP. Let's see. Oh, both old ZG mounts are on black market auction house. Cool. Okay.
It's the Raptors, right? I think.
Yeah, I think you can still get the Raptors, right?
Yeah.
Right. I think that kind of wraps it up unless I missed something. We'll give it another raptor bear or raptor and tiger, not bear. Oh, interesting. That's kind of weird. Yeah, I think that kind of wraps things up.
That might be all of them.
I'll give it another quick second. I don't know.
Last call for questions.
Yeah, basically last call, and that's it for tonight. I'm glad we got this knocked out in like an hour and a half. I'm kind of surprised, and I'm also impressed that it took us that long to talk about everything.
It's a huge change. But yeah, high five to us for getting through this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was good. I am giddy about the future state. I guess to sum it up, giddy about the future state of free to play as going back to being a sort of niche punk rock thing to do. I think 20s are going to be. They're not going to be so bad in PvP that you shouldn't play them. You should still hang on to your 20s if you like them.
And play them. Play them.
Yeah, Wrath 39s are going to rule. You guys should join us there for sure. I'd love to see you all in Wrath. And yeah, I think that's it.
Alrighty. Well, you know where to find me. Obviously, you're on my channel. Go find Chops. Go, throw him a sub, like his shit. He puts out a weekly vlog, which is sometimes more content than I put out. Other than, the random live streams that aren't scheduled at all. Other than that, guys, I'm going to do my shtick of feel free to join the channel. If you've seen those guys with the green names, the little emblems on them, it's cheaper than a Twitch sub. Like, subscribe, the whole nine. Thank you, VOD watchers. We appreciate you. And yeah, keep playing 20s, guys. It's fun. It's fun stuff.
20s will be fine. Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for watching. Peace.